everyone, welcome to Pattern Cutting Deconstructed, where I'm going to show you how to make the pattern for the red bodice that won the competition the other week. So it won with 570-ish votes from all of you, so thanks for voting. I hope you've got all your equipment: pattern master, some paper, pattern cutting scissors, rubber, which you might not use or need, a pencil and some sticky tape, and the downloadable block, which I hope you've got. Okay, so basically what we're doing is we're turning the block, which is this, into a pattern. And the way we're going to do that is by creating design lines, which are what this shape are. Dart manipulation, another word for it, where you basically close a dart and open it somewhere else to create something that looks very different to the original block. So as you can see, this item has no darts on it. They've all been lost within the shape of the bodice. So what I start by doing is plotting the shapes, and I've already marked the areas in prior to that so that I can give you some direction with measurements. Because we're working on the half scale, it's all the measurements are going to be half the measurements that you would usually use if you were doing a full scale block, for example. So our first plotting mark is the shoulder on the left. We're dividing that in two, and our first mark starts in the centre of that. Our next mark is 3 centimetres down from the shoulder, where the notch mark is. That's here. Through the centre front, 2.5 centimetres. From the second notch, 8.5. From the bust darts, we're taking the bust point back by 1.5 centimetres on either side, and the reason why we're doing that is to prevent the pointed booby look of the 50s. I want to do something slightly more rounded, so hence dropping the dart point back. At the waist darts, we're taking this one down by 4 centimetres and the other one down by 3. The centre front line at the waist is measured up by 1 centimetre, and then on the side seam we're taking the mark at 2 centimetres. What you'll do next is to create your design, and you can do this like I'm doing it now with a faint pencil mark like so, or you can use your pattern master and create your curves like this. This takes a little bit of practice getting the curves correct, but you've got to start somewhere, I suppose, and maybe just jump in at the deep end and just do it. What's the worst that can happen? That's what these were invented for. So rub out all your mistakes, and I make lots of mistakes still, so it's the only way to learn, so I shall continue doing them or making them. Right, next curve over here up to the bust point on the left, and then we take our shape down from the bust point to the side seam. Okay, so let me do a stronger mark with this here, so you can see what the shape's meant to look like. One of my lovely followers on Instagram, she named this side boob bodice, which I think is pretty hilarious. And I hadn't noticed that until she pointed it out, but I guess you don't always until somebody points it out for you. Okay, so we've got our shape going on here. Now, one thing I've forgotten to do is that we need to redraw the dart because we've taken the point back by 1.5 centimetres. So we have to draw in the new dart like so, just to the side seam where the notches are, and that goes on both sides. Okay, so we will now, let's get rid of that for the moment, cut out the shapes, the pieces, separate them through to your curve. Now when you're cutting out a pattern, you need to cut on the line. Don't cut outside of the lines that you've drawn, because that will increase the size of your pattern and make it too big. And don't cut on the inside because that will make it smaller. So I guess the thing to do is to try and use a pencil that's quite fine so that your line just disappears when you cut. Okay, right through to the shoulder, and then get rid of all these excess bits. And try and cut them out a bit neater than I am. Okay, sometimes I use a knife to cut my patterns out because it's really precise, but always remember to use a cutting board if you are going to be cutting patterns with a knife. You don't want to cut through your lovely dining table, whether it be glass or wood. Okay, nearly done. And then when I've finished cutting this out, we're going to lose the bust darts on both sides because we don't need them. We're going to get all our ease through the shaping of the new pattern, and what we're doing is manipulating darts, and darts love to be manipulated. That's what they're there for. So neck done and ready to move on. Okay, so let's call this side bodice number 1 and this is called 2. How original. Anyway, okay, so we need to lose this dart, and the way to do that is to cut through. Don't cut all the way through, leave a little bit hanging, and then fold it up like that. Take a bit of sticky tape, put that through here, and then do the same on the other side. So don't cut through again, and push that one down. Okay, so we've lost our darts. So what's happened now that we've lost our darts? This has opened up. You see here? So the dart has gone from there to here. Amazing. Okay, now the next things we need to lose are basically these 2 darts, and I don't want to lose this dart entirely in here because it will give a really curved shape at the waist. So we're going to lose half the dart here and then half of it through the side seams. Okay, so let's cut that, and we do have to cut through this one because it's uneven, and then we close it and straighten it at the hem area. Let's take that down a bit so it's perfect. And then we do the same on this side, like so. And take that as well. And I bet you're getting really stressed looking at those bits sticking out of the top here. Worry not, guys, I will show you how to rectify that. What I should have done this earlier actually, but basically to take the dart, half the dart out from the side, I need the measurement of the dart from here to there, because when we remove the dart, it needs to be in exactly the same place at the side as it was the same length here. So let's take a measurement from that, and that is 6.6. So measuring up 6.6 from the bottom here is just literally at the butt point. Great. And the measurement of this dart here is 0.9 because I measured it before, so I know that for a fact. I'm not making it up. And then we draw the line in here. We do the same on here. So we'll be starting at that point and taking it down by 0.9, which is there. Put those back together and then draw the line in. Okay, now trim this off. Here. And do the same on this side. and there. Now, the annoying bit sticking out here, it's quite simple really, we just need to round them off. So you're growing it into this piece here, and then the same here, draw around to that point. Okay, and then we trim those excess bits off. And trim this bit off. So, stage 1 is done. And the next stage is to draw around this pattern on some lovely paper that I've got over here called Paptic. I've been raving about this paper for ages. I even sell it on my website, so if you're interested, check out the site. I'll put a link in the video. We draw around the first piece, number 1, like so. Whee! All the way to here, armholes and side seams. I've missed a bit here because there's a bit of tape in the way. Let's just get that there. And then we also need to transfer the centre front line, which is here, because that will become a balance mark for joining it to the other piece. Where the bust point was here, that needs a mark, and then through the front dart on the right and the front dart on the left. So we've got our balance marks, okay. And then draw our centre front line and put an arrow at the top and an arrow at the bottom. And then we're going to add seam allowance. Now for the half scale block, you're going to do a 1/2 centimetre seam allowance. On a full scale block, you would normally put a full centimetre seam allowance. And use the amazing Pattern Master. I bet you didn't know these bits on the Pattern Master were for adding seam allowances like this. You've learnt something new. Okay, and I see my students in the past have sometimes just sort of like measured like this and then marked 1 centimetre and again, and it's really quite time consuming. But you only know how to do it when you're told. So add seam allowance, 1 centimetre, all the way around. Around here. And yeah, going back to the beauty of Paptic, it's paper that can be stitched. I mean, I discovered that by mistake because when I was developing my kits, I originally wanted to print them on Paptic and create a foldable poster, but it didn't work. But then I've included the paper in my kit because it's amazing. You can sew with it, and it also bypasses the need for maybe toiling in calico. You can make a garment directly from this stuff, unpick it and use it again. So it's pretty versatile. And side and armhole. Excuse me. Okay. There we are. Nearly done with 1, and then we can move on to 2. There we are. We need, actually, before I move on to 2, I need to put some information onto the pattern. So this is bodice front 1, cut 1, right side up. Okay, because the pattern is asymmetric. And that's it. So, and then also extend the marks that you've got here to the edge of your paper. Now, the second section that we trace is, or draw around, is number 2. Like so. Armhole, even neck hole even. And then armholes, side seam, waist. If you want this to be more secure, you could use some tape to just keep it in place. But I'm a pro, so I don't need to do that. I'm only pulling your leg. I sometimes have to tape things down as well. Okay, so shoulder and then our curve. And then we also do a similar thing with transferring the centre front. Need one here through the middle of the dart. Need one here through the middle. And through the middle. Okay. We can draw our centre front line. And we've got all the others in place. So now add half a centimetre seam allowance again to the side seams. And the waist. So side seam. And then our curves can be done. It's very strange doing my Instagram live because I thought I was talking to everybody and you could you could hear what I was saying, but evidently not. Been having Wi-Fi problems for a little while, so I shall take my lives to another room in my block until the lockdown's over, and then I can sort everything out. Okay, so where are we? Nearly done with the seam allowances. And then the next stage will be to cut it out. And then your pattern's done. If you have any problems understanding this, so I'm sure you'll post comments and let me know, give me some feedback. I love a bit of feedback, good or bad, as long as it helps me improve. That's what it's all about. So, shoulders. And neck. And then we're done. And then I will be posting another 3 designs this week, and you can choose your favourite, and then I'll post, hopefully I would have sorted out the lives, and then we can do some another live session, or a live session or an IGTV session if that doesn't work. Okay, brilliant. So bodice side, front 2, cut 1, so R, S, U, and I bet you know what that means, don't you? Right side up. Okay, brilliant. Arrows on your balance marks, and we're done. So you can now cut the pieces out. And remember the cutting out rule. Cut on the line, not outside and not inside, because you will be very disappointed. I hope you try to make these up as garments. Or garments as samples of a front of a bodice. It's hardly a garment. It'll be really interesting to see what fabrics you put together. You could try prints, stripes, plains, different coloured plain fabric. It'd be quite interesting to see it, because I was also thinking of what we could do with if you make the front up, what we could do with them, but I shall get back to you in another post about that. like the COVID lockdown pattern cutting sessions. Yeah, why not? A community project. That's what it's all about. Okay, so front one is done. Clear this out with this. It's nice and clean. And 2. Cut on the lines. My cutting is leaving a lot to be desired tonight, actually. These are new scissors and I'm not used to them, so that's my excuse. I usually use lighter ones, but I couldn't find them, so I've started on these. And they're just a bit heavier than I'm used to, so is that a lame excuse? So you've gone from a basic block, which is this one, to creating design lines, to creating a pattern, and hopefully you'll create a top. Thanks for watching.